Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the live feed on Sean Mitchell's YouTube channel. Let's get into it. 1986 Boston Celtics are the greatest team ever to play the game. This team was on a mission, man. This team dominated the 1985-86 season. The acquisition of Bill Walton was definitely in his healthiest at that time. Going with that bench, that definitely benefited Robert Parrish. Larry Bird was at the top of his game, man. When his third straight MVP of that year. They won 67 games, lost only 15. They were 40-1 at home, 37-1 at Boston Garden, 3-0 at the Hartford Civic Center. Hartford Civic Center. They played there as far as their home games concerned. And those 40 home wins set an NBA record, which will only be matched by the 2016 San Antonio Spurs. Always considered the best Celtics team ever, and probably regarded among the greatest teams in the NBA history. That team was just dominant. Now the franchise record in Celtics history for its most wins is 68. That's in 73. That team that won the championship, I think they lost to the Knicks in the conference finals. They lost the conference finals 7 games. But this team was just a dominant team. They were complete. They knew how to pass the ball. Again, Larry Bird won his third consecutive MVP. Bill Walton won Sixth Man of the Year. The big three was definitely in its full swing. With Kevin McHale, Rob Parrish, he made the case the best front court ever. They swept the Bulls despite Michael Jordan scoring 63 points. They defeated the Atlanta Hawks in 5 games in the semifinals. They swept the Milwaukee Bucks in 4 games. He was on to their third consecutive NBA Finals. And the Celtics faced off against Houston. The rematch of the 81 NBA Finals. Celtics won that series in 6. They won a 16 championship. It lasted for 22 years. It taken another 22 years later to win another one in 2008 with the Lakers losing to the Celtics. Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce. So it would take them a long time to get back to their winning ways. A lot of things that factored in after the 86 season is the death of Lynn Bias, um, Reggie Lewis, passing. But it was never the same. That dynasty, dynastic run started to crumble. Obviously, that part of the 80s, Bird started getting hurt. McHale was still doing it, still hanging on. Still had Robert Parrish, but they wasn't the same out of that championship. They won 82 combined regular season playoff games. That record stood until the Bulls and the Warriors surpassed it. The Bulls won 87 combined wins to the championship. Unfortunately, the Warriors won 88, but they lost in the finals to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They dropped to Sam Vincent first round. And this team is just so dominant, man. They just lost the year before, like I said, to the Lakers in a 6-game series against their rivals, losing at home. The first time, I believe at the time, in the Boston Garden, that they lost at home. And ended with a record of 63-19 during the regular season. A league best record, earning home court advantage throughout the playoffs during that time. They come back strong, winning 67 games. So you look at October, November, they go out to the best start. They did lose in overtime to the Nets, New Jersey. 119, 109 at 113, 113 to 109, despite near quadruple double by Larry Bird, 21 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, 8 steals. The next day, Kevin McHale had 26 points, 15 rebounds, led the Celtics forward to a win over the Cavaliers 105-100. And 4 days later, the Celtics defeated the visiting Bucks 117 to 106. Bird, McHale, and Johnson all scoring at least 20 points. So they ended the month 2-1, and they finished the end of November at 15-2. So they was coached by Casey Jones, very underrated head coach because he had a great team around, but he don't get enough credit for being one of the top tier coaches of all time. To me, this team is considered the best of like Bird's career. Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, obviously, but Walton doing his thing. They trade Cedric Maxwell for Walton basis, holding on his word that he felt he was healthy enough to play. And Walton played a career high 80 games, so they didn't have Cedric Maxwell on his team. Still had Dennis Johnson, was an MVP of 1979. They made the finals. Also, they had Danny Ainge, obviously Scott Weldon coming off the bench, Trey Seaskin, a new acquisition. The team was just dominant. They played 82 games, averaged 25.8 points a game. Kevin McHale played 68 games, averaged 21.3 points a game. Parrish had played 81 games, averaged 16.1 points a game. Dennis Johnson averaged 15.6 points per game, played 78 games. 80 games was played by Danny Ainge, averaged 10.7 points a game. Scott Weldon had played 79 games, averaged 8.8 points a game. Walton averaged 7.6 points a game, played 80 games. Jerry Steeson, 82 games was played, averaging 6.5 points a game. So most of these guys played. These guys was ready to make amends for what happened the year before. And you look at all the accolades that they accomplished on that year. You know, Larry Bird won Athlete of the Year from the Associated Press, MVP award, MVP in the finals, All NBA first team, All NBA defensive first team was Kevin McHale, All defensive second team, All NBA was Dennis Johnson. Larry Bird won the 3-point shooting contest and a 3-point field goal leader. Walton won the award for Sixth Man of the Year. So his team was on a mission. The year was so dominant, man. It was like anticlimactic, especially when they played the Houston Rockets. Yes, they had the Twin Towers and Hakeem Olajuwon and Rob Sampson, but it was just a foregone conclusion that the Celtics were going to win that series. I mean, they were just so dominant, so deep. It was just anticlimactic because there's no Lakers in that NBA Finals for third straight season. So it was like the Celtics were going to win that series regardless. They probably would beat the Lakers too, but we'll never know. But it was the Celtics, man, year. It was their time. You know, to say they were the best team, they were the best team ever to play the game. That's how good they were, how great they were. They were so dominant, and how they epitomized how the game was played from a pure standpoint, like way they passed the ball. You know, that's what they represented. They represented greatness. And I think that's why they were so great. How they passed the ball, they were so efficient, how they dominated the game of basketball. That's how great this team was. And you look at it 4 years later, this is the 40th anniversary of this team, this 86 Celtics team. You know, are they the greatest ever? Now, obviously, eras are different, but they like the gold standard because they represent how to play the game of basketball collectively with a balance of individual talent, the basketball IQ, the selflessness that they represented, the dominance on their home court. winning 40 games and losing only one. They took basketball to an art form as a team. That team was the last great masterpiece of this generation before injuries caught up with, you know, Bird and especially him. So that team was definitely one of all-time greats. He may regard him as the greatest ever. How they played the game collectively. It wasn't a guy just dominating the ball and scoring, averaging 30, 50 points. No, they were so talented. They didn't need to do all that because they were so talented. And that's how great they were. They had 5 Hall of Famers on that team. Bird, McHale, Paris, Johnson, and Walker. And they had 5 Hall of Famers on that great team. So that's it, man. I'm done. Looking at the 86 Celtics. I was to say, man, that team was just the greatest ever. You can make a case. It's their dominance, how they took the game to the next level as a team. Also, you look at Larry Bird, you know how great he was, even if he was shooting the ball with his left hand. You know, knowing that they were the best team in basketball that year, they got bored and playing lesser teams away from home. They went 19-2 against teams above 500. They lost less meaningful games against the Sacramento Kings and Phoenix Suns. So that's basically it, man. I'm done. Just a brief look at the next 86 Celtics. Be back at 4:30 to do one on let's see. Yeah, New York Giants from 1986. That's a great team right there from 86. They won 14 games that year. We're going to get into that shortly at the bottom of the hour, 4:30. So stay tuned for that. So hit the like button, subscribe whenever you get a chance to check out this video. If you get a chance. So that's it. The next 86 Boston Celtics will be back at 4:30. Look at the next 86 New York Giants. Till then, talk to you soon.